Hey friend, Roger Christopherson here again with another first listen review. This is one that I had to really sit down and pay attention to. It's the Flower Kings, and it's their new album called Look at You Now. Now, the Flower Kings is this band I actually discovered because of Neil Morse and Mike Portnoy. They were in a band together called Transatlantic, and they teamed up with, I don't even know if I'm saying his name right after all these years, Ryan Stolt and Pete Traveras, I can't even say his name right, from Marillion. And they did some albums like years ago, and I had to find out who all these guys were. He's the only one I didn't know, actually, but and so I dug kind of deep into the Flower Kings, and he's got some other bands he had been involved with over the years. In fact, he actually did some remixes of the earlier Transatlantic albums, so I thought that was pretty cool. And the funny part is, Roy and his brother Michael was in the band like years ago, just like Neil Morse and his brother were in Spock's Beard together, and so I thought that was always kind of cool. And so anyway, Michael, his brother, is actually back in the band now after many, many years not being with I don't know how many, but so it's those two. And I'm not gonna. These are names I'm gonna kill. All these European names I always get wrong, but Haas Froberg and Mirko De Maio are the other two members on vocals. Guitar is Haas, and Mirko is on drums. And then there's some extra people involved in this one too that I'm not even gonna try, but they have some little extra help in this one. Now their style of music it's progressive rock, but it reminds me more of early like Yes and maybe Gentle Giant. It's not like super rock, although they do get that way sometimes, especially on past albums. And very intricate time changes, really intricate melodies and harmonies. A lot that some of these other bands ignore, a lot of vocal parts, some of these progressive bands, but these guys very much concentrate on vocal harmonies. And they kind of rely on the older sounds when it comes to keyboards and stuff, the Moog and the Mellotron type sounds and Hammond organs and stuff like that. So it's right up my alley. I like this kind of stuff. Now, this album, it seems to me, not that they ever really rock out too much, but this album seems a little bit more mellow than past stuff that they've done. It never really gets super rocking at any point in time, but it starts out with one of the more upbeat tunes, and I think it's the only one that's actually been released as a single so far. Actually, I didn't listen to anything before this album came out, so I didn't know what anything was going to sound like or anything like that. But the first song, Beginner's Eye, kicks in. And I also want to mention that some of their stuff in the past has been like really epic long, and there's nothing like that on here. The one thing I did notice is the singing is more mature. They all take turns singing on this one, and it's not like everybody but Marco, I guess, or Mirko sings on this one, and they do have some help with some female background vocals, which are throughout the whole thing. And I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing that sounds more mature. It sounds like they're very confident in what they're singing. It's more, I don't know how else to explain it, but just like Elton John changed his vocal style over the year, and as the years went on, he just sounded more like strong in his vocal delivery. That's kind of what I mean here. And there's a lot of concentration on positivity. And they always had that. Their lyrics are always very positive. They sing about Earth and stuff like that. And when I say it's their focus on being positive is always something that I've really been attracted to, and the sound of the music itself. They get maybe a little bit melancholy sometimes, but it's always upbeat, even in the slower songs. And in here, they definitely stick to the changing tempos and jump very quickly from one thing to another. Although there's not so much the speed of everything they used to have, maybe on some of the older albums, where they just go flying nuts through some of their. It's still there a little bit, but not over done on some other past stuff where it's a super intricate, fast things going on. If it's there, it's very sporadic. little bit more tasteful. They don't have anything to prove anymore. One thing I did notice in the song Stronghold, there's a killer guitar solo at the end of that one. Like, that's probably my favorite part of the whole album, is that solo there. And from that point on, it gets really mellow. The rest of the songs, even the final song, Look At You Now, the title song, is actually the longest one. I think it was a little over 10 minutes. I actually didn't pay close attention to what that read, but it just adds that slow build as it goes on and kind of builds up progressively. And it kind of ends on a really positive note and positive feel to the whole thing. And I also noticed a little bit more than usual that the drumming on this one seems like it's taken a lot more chances and a lot more different styles than maybe what I've heard in the past. Specifically on The Dream, it's got kind of almost a tribal feel, I guess, there in parts of it. And then also like in Dr. Ribideau and the Queen, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in there, and there's a lot of vocal harmonies going on in those songs as well. So anyway, that's I could go on and blab about this one for a while, but it's definitely worth a listen if you're in that style of prog rock, or if you've never heard of this band. Definitely worth checking out. I don't know if I'd start with this album. I'd probably go one of their earlier ones, because this one's a little bit more mellow, unless you're like that type of stuff. But definitely was a pleasant listen. I'll be probably listening to this one again, and you know, I always welcome comments and stuff that people maybe would like to add. That I've always welcome people if I've forgotten something, or if there's something else you want to add to this, even from your own personal listening, or what you think about the whole band or this album if you've heard it already. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time. See you.